All right, guys. This is my dad's stories now, and actually, if you think about it, everything's correlated. That without my grandpa's story, there will be no my dad's story. There won't be me. Um, in Chinese, there's a term called "龙养龙, 凤养凤," uh, translating meaning dragon father, dragon son, phoenix mother, phoenix daughter. What it is that actually my dad my dad is born in the year of dragon, and my mom is born in the year of snake. So they're jokingly with joking my parents would be oh, a sky dragon and an earth dragon. And by the way, I was born in the year of dog. So I was jokingly time to time telling them that, hey, I'm a dog, baby. So what it is that from my dad's generation, first of all, he will always saying that he belonged to the ancient time. He's an ancient man. So I'm like, if you're an ancient man, I'm a caveman. So I'm like, yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you belong to a museum, I belong to a museum of natural history. I'm a dinosaur because I drew so many prehistoric creatures, including lots of dinosaurs. That's another story. All right, so starting with my dad was born in 1953. So for their generation, there's a saying which is sad. Now we just joke about it. They say that when they're growing their body, there's nothing to eat because there's the 3 years of the Great Leap Forward, which is a huge, disastrous famines. Tens of millions died because of these fucked up policies, and so right around 60s, that my dad was around that age, and there's nothing to eat. And then the joke goes on said, when when there's book to read, there's no book to read. There's no school to go to because the Cultural Revolution coming in. If you know a little bit about history about that, is that all the school are shut down, and and it was such a chaos. It was a catastrophe. Everything's upside down. All professors, all teachers are being cut, and so Cultural Revolution arrived in '66 when my dad was 13. So in the beginning, he was actually pretty cool, and he was telling me that he was the Little Red Guards, and they had a whole huge team that there's no school to go to, which is probably a paradise for kids. And then and then they were going to government buildings because all government buildings are sacked. And then after that, he saw my grandparents are completely sacked and cut, and our house was being ransacked and house searched. Everything that he just felt like this whole shit is fucked up, and so this is why he started to lose hope um, around this whole system. So he just and then there's no point because it's a totalitarian socialist communist society under Mao's Red Terror. So so after 66 and Mao felt like all right, these red guards are out of control. We need to send them to to the countryside. So what they call is called sending intellectual youth to rural area to be re-educated. And because Mao still believed they need to be they need to have some dirt in their shoes and just be peasants. So because this is all sending urban youth to countryside, and so my dad was being sent to northern Anhui, which is a godforsaken dirt poor places, and these local bumpkins who were viewing my dad like a foreigner. They pretty much don't even speak the same language if you don't speak Mandarin, because at the time these peasants are they don't speak Mandarin, and my dad speaks Shanghainese, and the way they look different. They're being treated different. However, they were still being sent to the communes, and there was a joke also. I was like, there was a joke pretty common, which is kind of true. There's no electricity. There is no running water. There is no modern utilities at all, which is the joke goes that, hey, at the time, there's only electronic utensil that I possess is a flashlight. So that's goes the joke. But then I asked my dad, so what, do you have something else? Of course, he said that he's got a clock, he's got a watch, which is a very good present given to him by my grandpa. And then afterwards, my oldest uncle, his oldest brother, gave him a radio. So he's pretty well off over there, because at that place is just, if you imagine Afghanistan and Somalia, that's exactly what they're like. And so this policy goes around, and then so that was starting in '68, but he kind of delayed until '69 that he went. So '69, he's 16. So imagine, and then he spent his 10 golden years, 16 to 26, in that in that in the countryside, and pretty much. So at the time, but by '76. Mao died, like I told you, and that he's really glad about it. And then, but at the same time, that he got a chance to attend a art, what they call, it's called art normal school, also around that area, but it's still considered a city by now. And I had the privilege actually visited there. Now it looks pretty presentable, but imagine back then. It's also pretty deplorable, but because he always loved art, and then that he attended there, and then that's around that time, '76. Around that time, probably a little around that time, he met my mom. But the policy at the time. See, this is what's really fucked up about communist socialist policy, because it affects everybody's life. And what they call is it's called household registration. At the time, this is still important today, but at the time it was like a treasure card. It's like a green card basically. So wherever you are, and your household registration goes with you. So he was in Anhui, which is countryside, so his household registration goes over there. But he wants to be in Shanghai. Why would anybody want to be there? And at the time, because Mao died, and then later on, when Deng started to reverse a lot of policy, even including rehabilitate my grandparents, is that, so my mom get to go back to Shanghai. And but my dad, because he was in studying in the school, and so his household registration stayed with him. And what they did is, that school is for you to become teachers, art teachers. Basically, you're probably going to teach in the middle school in the Dirtport area, out of nowhere. And then what happened to my dad is kind of funny, about just an anecdote about his youth, and that he. So my mom went back to Shanghai, and then at the time that she was she was assigned to a fabric factory. At the time, if you were a worker, that's very prestigious actually. But my dad remained in the countryside, even if that was a school. And then, so they thought they were separate. That's due to all the policies, and so he had an affair with his teacher. I'm assuming they're about the same age because my dad didn't attend at the right age. So they're even though they're teacher student relationship, but they're they had an affair. so so it ended up causing a huge scandal in the school because at the time people were so close minded, and then teacher student relationship is definitely forbidden. So he was about to expel. So at the time there's no way to get him out, and then so my mom basically had to go back to over there to bail him out. So he actually he actually didn't graduate with a degree. Actually, so he what he did is that he had a certificate of the end of semester, and but lucky for him, um, he get to get out. So he came back to Shanghai, and there's me. Otherwise, none of these things gonna happen. It's just I don't even know. Maybe uh, there won't be a me, and there won't be a me talking to you about all of these interesting anecdotes, which is kind of funny to reminisce and be nostalgic about it. Now we're nostalgic, and even he's got a lamp, and that he even drew a painting of a lamp, and because at the time that's all you have for light, for everything, for you go to the kitchen, for you to read anything. That he told me at the time that even though my grandparents are being cut, and so they still you still get to see them, like in they're yeah, you still get to see them, so, and so they still get to like send you something. So I'm like, what did they send you? And he said that from time to time that my grandpa would send him some newspaper from Shanghai, which is like a treasure already over there, because he's like, there's nothing over there. And maybe from time to time they would put like a 5 yuan. At the time, 5 yuan is making you a millionaire over there, because at the time when they belong to the commune, they don't use cash, and so if you have some private cash, that's so much going on. So, and then I was like, so there's no internet, there's nothing for you to see, and then he said the only two books that he's got under his pillow is two dictionary, a a standard Xinhua Chinese dictionary, and then another is the Chinese idiom dictionary, the small versions, not the huge, thick like a freaking brick. Of course, just the small version, easy to carry. And then I was like, so he sends you the newspaper. He said he read it from back to back. So I'm like, what's there to read? Then he's like, that's the only thing that he can read. He can at least see what's going on in Shanghai, what movie is going on, and any any major news, small news, anecdotes, local news, especially local news. So at least he felt like he's still in touch with Shanghai, because that's his home. It just what it was is that basically it's like 10 years of prison, or being outlawed. This is why there's a lot of rebel attitude in him, and he was constantly being criticized in his school for being revisionist, or I don't even know how to translate that, but meaning that you're not focused on the main road. You're just doing your own stuff. Like his painting would be pretty different from other people's painting, because all he has available, say like magazines and stuff, and he's really into impressionism and expressionism. That's about the only most modern artworks out there, and then he's being criticized for painting like that and being too colorful. And then look what he produced. And then my Chinese name Bin means colorful. uh, if you read Chinese, you would know. And look at what color that bring me to the whole revolution. So in a way, it's pretty interesting that he's got a colorful life too. And then he just why he named me uh, colorful, or a lot of people's name would be uh, Jun means army or military, but he would not name me that. And then what he meant is that he want my life to be colorful as well. And then that's so much to say about my dad. And my dad and my mom are just half year apart actually. And speaking of my mom, which is also following, see, we are victims of communist policy. And what it is that I don't know why I get to be the lucky one that survived, because my mom had at least two previous abortion because of different policy, because of their situation, and I just happened to reincarnate it at the right moment, if to use the right word, and so that's their life, and they're still struggling in U.S. now, and then see, I could not even imagine I can survive over there for like one day, let alone 10 years. But he's telling me story like almost sounds like you're from different history, different generation, of course, different generation, but completely. But on the other hand, we have so much in common because we both love arts, of course. But his limitation is up to country rock, not like the death metal or thrash metal, or heavy metal that I'm into, or a certain movie that I'm into. He's into aesthetics and everything beautiful, everything peaceful. Not like me, I'm like a great destroyer. So so that was that. But we still have a lot of common language because he up until this point, see, this is quite deplorable and quite facetious at the same time. Is that he's right today. He's still using a flip phone, and he doesn't know how to use computer at all. He right now we got him an iPad that looks like a toy for him. Almost that's about the only modern connection that he has, and so to me he's like an antique. And to a lot of instance, and what my other people commented about me is that I look kind of anachronistic as well, so like using fans or using these oils and stuff, and they felt like it's only old people that use it. But that's how I grew up with it. And then maybe my dad does have, not maybe, he does have a huge impact on who I am, who I became, and which is great. And then he often share little anecdotes here and there, and then just just uh, I was just thinking that if you have something like me right now, feeling like shit, just think about something nice, something beautiful, something pleasant. And I will always think about my dad, and to me, he's a true gentleman, a classical sense, a classic gentleman. Um, that we share the same. We share the same humor a lot. We share the same jokes. We like the same uh, the two deceased Chinese, Shanghai actually, from Shanghai, comedian, and we both like the same funny stuff. And what it is, I think what keeps you going is that just try to be humorous, and try to try to look at the bright sides. Even you're in the darkest moment. Like for me right now, I just feel like I'm in a purgatory, and however, I always try to cheer myself up, and it, no matter how small this thing is, maybe you had a fart, and I just felt like that's really stink, and yeah, or just when I was taking a walk earlier, even when I'm at so weak points, and I saw like some some. It doesn't look like cherry, but it's a tree that there's some cherry blossom or on the tree. I just felt like that. Wow, that is a nice, pleasant image that you can even imagine that could be a painting. And I guess really art really brought us uh, to be lively because he I could even imagine, let alone if I can empathize, because I could not. I mean, he's been into some darkest moments and stuff like in your youth, and both your parents are being locked up and being cut, and your older brothers are being sent all over the place. The furthest is in Xinjiang, the Uyghur autonomous regions, and it'll take him like 3 days of train ride, sit for 3 days, sitting to get there, and then imagine at the time that he told me that Urumqi was so bad. But however, my oldest uncle is now in Macau, and they're all Portuguese now. My cousin married a Russian, so I had a mixed, what do we call it, nephew. Um, anyway, so he had some bad times. I know that how lonely it could be. That, and then I asked him, how do you spend your time? And because right now we're constantly on our phone, on our iPads, and that on the internet, everything. Just I asked him, there's nothing to do over there. So he told me he's a great dad, the greatest I think, great friend, and a great mentor, if you can call that teacher. And he taught me that you need to learn about being alone, about being about how to use solitude as your best friend. Because of course he at the time that I mean, imagine when you're 16, 19, that you were there. That's the best time for you to have fun, and of course they're still having fun from time to time. Of course they're still chasing skirts, and well, at the time there's no skirts, chasing girls, obviously. So, and then he's got his fair share of girls. I won't get into the detail about that one because his generation is still quite different. But on the other hand, he was using a flip phone, and at that point, I was. Uh, Today he's still using flip phone, but the thing is that I only start to pick up iPad and iPhone very recently, and so just by 2014, 2015, I was still using flip phone too. So to me, because I don't care what you think, as long as it serves its purpose as a phone, so it's quite good enough. And so, and the other day I was in immigration court, and then I was using a payphone, a public phone, and then my colleague was asking me, "Hey, I just saw you using a payphone over there." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm still using beepers." I don't know if you guys even know beepers, a lot of stuff, and then I was still using a cassette player or CD player for a very long time. And at the time, everybody is on MP3. Of course, later on, I have MP3. Now these days, we're all clip on iPhone, but these days, I don't even listen to music outside anymore because I feel like my brain's already jam packed. And I used to, when I was in high school or junior high, of course, at the time, I'm on a headphone all the times. But I think I kind of grew out of that phase. But it's not that I'm into music. I still enjoy music from time to time. And I think these days I enjoy talking even more because there's just, to me, it's just a treasure trove of little tiny gold dust of history. And by the time that everybody's gone, this digital thing will be in perpetual existence. So in a way, maybe some of you will dig it out, and then you hear another old person at the time, and that talking about some interesting stuff. And another, there are tons of interesting stuff. They're like my dad loves rocks a lot. I don't mean music rock. I mean like stones, what they call scholar rocks. And then there's a huge collection of rocks at his place. But I have my fair share, small ones, and then uh, that's also something that we enjoy. Or he just recently gave me two porcelain horse that's mimicking Tang Dynasty's Tang Cai, which is something that we're really into. And obviously that he got me so many books that ever since when I was a kid, I mean, when I was really little, uh, one of the things that it almost become a habit that when he came back, it just so happened that the area that he worked in, there are a lot of secondhand bookstores. So the book would not be expensive. It's like 1 yuan. So count that as $1. And so it almost become a habit that when he came home, which is a little bit late, uh, he has a habit of being late, and that's just him. He's going to work late and come back late, and then that caused me a lot of trouble because when he sent me to school, I almost always late. This late person just me ever since ever since pre-K, actually kindergarten. And, but there's a good thing that when he came back, I was always really happy, and then I saw him. And not only saw him, but I would just go into his bag and then start to digging things and searching his bag, and oftentimes than not, I would find a book. And I think that's why that's what he ignites my interest into art. Namely, in the beginning, obviously it's cartoons. So I was a really quiet boy. Well, not that quiet actually, but I was a really good boy because I was drawing all the times, like at least in third grade, if even earlier, because I was like reading these stuff all the time. So it's like unwittingly he's shaping who you are, which is not a bad thing. I mean, the problem is that I didn't go into illustration or become a cartoonist. Not that I couldn't do. It's just because I grew up and I fell in love with fine arts, which is quite foreign to him because I'm out of reach with the classics and impressionists. Not that I don't know them. Obviously, they're just not in my category because I'm into like performance art or installation art, or at least from the Jackson Pollock onwards, let's say, all the way to these Brits artists. And I'm kind of out of touch with the art world lately as well, but that's the gist of it. And so a lot of my stuff that